You know what I make. It's just not gonna cut it. Breaking out the good stuff. It's been that kind of week. There's a game for you. For every false start, just take a drink. Hi, and welcome to episode 3 of Get Lit and Knit. I'm Allie. I am one half of Get Lit and Knit on Instagram and Get Lit and Knit podcast on Ravelry. This is a show and an Instagram account where Abby and I, my best friend from college, post our knitting projects and our drinks and our conspicuous yarn consumption. So that's where you can find us. And before we go anywhere, I always like to start with the shout outs and the thank yous because it hasn't gotten old for sure. Like we've grown a pretty cute little happy audience for ourselves, and the Ravelry group is slowly building. I'm still learning how to moderate that because I don't know how to make it fun. I don't know. So still learning how to moderate that, but the response has just continued to be awesome and open new doors for us. That said, we've got a lot of ground to cover today, and a lot of it's really exciting. So, you know, as exciting as knitting can be, but I think it's exciting. So, first things first, I wanted to say a little thank you to Robin from Stitching Between Pages. A lot of you guys pointed me to her as another Chicago podcaster. There's one other that I still have to check out on the list. And Robin and I actually got to meet up and hang out and swap minis, so we'll talk about that later. All right, so special thank you to Jenny and Devin because I wasn't expecting a shout out. I was really just happy that y'all were back from your hiatus, and I saw it and I lost it. It was ridiculous. I was sitting on the couch with Patrick and we're watching, and I don't know why I vaguely thought I heard it because it was pretty quick, and I was like hitting him on the arm, like, go back. And sure enough, there it was. So thank you guys. This podcast is getting a ton of love too, but it totally bears repeating. They're awesome. I love Tracy and Jody from the Grocery Girls. I had heard a lot about Mrs. Brown's bags, and watching that kind of felt like hanging out with your cool aunt who happens to knit. I also loved this week's episode of Legacy Knits, where they had Karen from Do You Knit on there, and all of my mom's family is from Jersey, and we have friends in upstate New York. And funny story, I was born in Rhinebeck, so even though I didn't spend a ton of time there, this is what all of the women on my mom's side of the family sound like. They all have the Jersey accent, and after a couple drinks, I get it a little bit too, or if I've been on the phone with my aunt for a bit, little bits of it'll come back. So watching that episode of Legacy Knits was like a little bit of home. It was really great. And then in a final thank you and kind of a transition to the really exciting thing I wanted to talk about, wanted to say thanks to Melissa from Spicy Homemaker for getting Abby and I in on the knitting games. What? They'd been hyping it for weeks, and finally I messaged Brittany and I was like, okay, I want in on the epic thing. How do I get in on the epic thing? And I got a message back, I think from Melissa, and she said, no. It was between Melissa and Brittany. I think Brittany sent me a link. She's like, have you ever heard of Swants? And I hadn't. And I'm pretty new to the Stephen West thing, and I opened it and my immediate thought was, I'm gonna have to knit pants. I didn't read far enough down, to know that you're just repurposing a thrift store sweater. And Abby and I are super excited for this, figured out a really cool prize we're gonna contribute. Mostly, I'm just excited to go to Hollywood Mirror in Boys Town, which is where I bought my ugly Christmas sweater this year, and just buy absurd sweaters. I'm ready. I haven't done a ton of sewing, but I'm really excited about this one. And that said, other exciting thing, the week of, I think the first week of March is when Abby's spring break starts. Yay! Should we put in the cheering YouTube kids? Yeah, we're gonna do it. Yay! So she is gonna come up and film a bonus episode. That'll be really fun. We can't show the swants. We want to keep it as like blind a vote as possible. All of the details are in Melissa's group, and I think some of it's in Brittany's group too. I have been like double checking the rules to make sure I don't explain this wrong. The voting thread is going to be in my group, and then in Gabby of Once Upon a Corgi, and I am super stoked. That's gonna go up. From what I understand, the swants themselves will like go up March 11th, and then you guys will hit love on them, and whoever swants wins the blind vote will get prizes to give to their viewers. So very exciting. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed to all of us. If there's one thing this community is really good about, it's sharing the love and kind of lifting each other up. And I am clearly like, I don't know. Even when I initially messaged Brittany, I was like, I know we have like an itty bitty baby podcast, but like, please, like, let us in on this. And she was like, yeah, like, of course. So yeah, it's exciting. And the idea that I have for the prize is actually pretty cool. It's a little bit of Jill from the Knitting Broomsticks podcast's fault. And I say that in the best way because I've started using this and it's made a big difference in my crafting life. All right, so let's talk about whips. I feel like this is the last time I'm going to even mention the Junebug's kitty bed until I actually pick it up again. There's nothing to show. It's super billowy, like black merino. Pretty sure they're size 8s. It's nothing to write home about. And I feel like until we get to the felting part of it, it's just not going to be worth mentioning. I thought about making it my craft for 20 project, but instead, I made my Kanye West cross-stitch pattern, the Craft for 20 project. We'll talk about that in a minute. So update on the Beekeeper's Quilt by Tiny Owl Knits. I have been working on this guy, but not a ton. Everything kind of got put on hold for a week because of another cool thing I've been working on, which we will talk about in FOs because it's done and sent off, so I don't have it. But I'm going to count these little guys as finished objects because, sure, why not? I thought I had 7 of these. Nope, just 6. So this brings the official count to 57. I have been trying like crazy to knit through what I already have. And these guys are new additions, also a little byproduct of the one finished object I have for this week. I ended up trying something new with these puffs because you're not going to be able to see it, I don't think, but I was getting really irritated with, I think in the unstuffed version, or if I'm just reading the pattern wrong, whatever I'm doing is making the puff slightly taller on top than it is on the bottom. And so I eliminated a stockinette row. Which one did I do that on? Was it this one? Yeah, and it's a subtle difference, but it was bothering me. Part of me thought I just needed to keep it consistent, like, okay, I've already made 50 of them like this, like, I'll fix it when I seam it, whatever, but it was bugging me, so I changed it. I also tried a slightly different technique, great in theory, terrible in practice. I've been knitting these on Knit Picks Interchangeables US size 4, and I've been knitting the Magic Loop. And I saw on Pinterest of all places, people casting on like you would for a 2 at a time sock, which I'm a big fan of, casting on 2 or 3 puffs at a time, which sounded great because if there's one thing that I have trouble with this pattern, it's like my attention span, because I do want 5 puffs of each color ideally. So I tried casting on 3 at a time, which in theory would be great. The problem is that this cable is just so springy, so solid, that if I were to do this on like a floppier cable, it would have worked great. And it's at a point where I really love my Chiaogu red lace stainless steel. I have those on my Georgetown cardigan right now. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I don't have size 4s, so I might break down and order those because I loved being able to knit multiple at a time. But with this, it was just such a pain. It was the worst. All right, let's talk about my Craft for 20 project. This is the Kanye West PDF pattern by Pen and String. Picked this guy up on Etsy. Made a lot of progress on this in terms of the outline, and this weird line down here is the beginning of his beard. This is like his neck. This will be his sunglasses, but it's just looking like a weird like eyebrow patch at the moment. So this is my vain hope cross stitch. My vain hopes are that somebody on Kanye's PR team will take away his Twitter and change the password, and he will find somebody he trusts who he can talk to and may trust to give him some constructive feedback. That all my faves in the music industry could just like play nice for once. And my final vain hope is that Kanye will come to some kind of deal, maybe his senses, and put the new album on Apple Music, because as much as I want access to The Life of Pablo and as much as I want access to all the remixes of Formation, I don't need another subscription service. Please, Kanye. Please. All right, I have a not so big update on the Georgetown cardigan by Hannah Fettig. I've been knitting on this for a while and had to take a break from it for a week to work on another project monogamously, but we do have a second sleeve cap and the beginning of a sleeve, so that's exciting. I'm pretty sure after this, all I have to do is it's an open cardigan, but it'll have kind of a ribbed yoke to it. I think that's the term. I've already put this in the chatter thread for Laura of the Fawn Knits, her Quince-along knit along, and I love this thing. Like, I was really excited to pick it back up. I've been posting an update on Instagram with every skein that I get through, so I'm due to post another one. This is skein 6 out of the 13 that I bought. So this is Owl, 50/50 wool spun alpaca, and what I didn't know until I listened to the rest of knit.fm, which I am very sad is over for now, it seems. What I didn't know is that designers factor in like an extra 10% on their yarn when they're giving you a recommended amount to buy. I bought entirely too much of this. Way too much. In a shocking turn of events, Patrick has actually found like something I can knit for him that he'll actually wear. We found a couple slipper patterns that call for Owl. So when all of the sweater thing is said and done, that will be the next project. So I'm very happy with this guy. It's a race against the clock. I don't want it to get too hot out and I won't be able to wear this, but we are supposed to get like 6 inches of snow overnight. It's Illinois weather. I'll believe it when I see it. Can change on a dime, but my hope is that we've got some winter left so I can actually wear this thing in the season I made it. So this is the Doodler. I'm almost through clue number 1. I had to size up to size 7 needles to get gauge and to get a fabric I was happy with, and I think that's like 3 sizes up if I remember right. And something I didn't account for was, oh hey, if you're going to change your gauge that much, you're probably going to need some more yarn. So this turned into a pretty intense game of yarn chicken. I'd been knitting this in 3 colors. So this is, can't really see it too well, but so the light blue and white is Araucania and Clouds Above. And then these 2 are from the Sweet Georgia Party of 5 Tough Love sock in the Sea to Sky collection. So I've been knitting the contrasting stripes in Evergreen and Salt Air. And as you can see, they kind of take over in the second to last wedge, because I got down to this. I am more thankful than ever for people who actually post detailed project pages, because I was like, not sure what I was going to do. I'm still not 100% sure what I'm going to do for the last wedge, but I am excited to block this guy, because Robin and I were talking about hers, and she showed it on her last podcast, and the thing is huge once it's blocked, so should be pretty cool. Also, something I probably should have figured out a while ago. I've been carrying the colors up the sides, which I don't know why I haven't been doing it the whole time. I think the instructions tell you to break the yarn. I'm sure Stephen West had a perfectly good reason for telling you to do that, especially because like the float would be so huge. That's probably why. But I kind of wish I had done it for these smaller ones. Would have saved me a lot of weaving. Whatever. So now, just gotta figure out the last wedge with... I don't even want to measure this. Like, it's so small, I'm afraid to know. So, yeah, no, I'll keep you posted on this one, because this is, I don't know, for those of you who are shawl knitters, it's a lot. It is a lot more than I realized. I don't know. Okay, so we've teased it this whole time, and I kind of sort of forgot that I already mentioned it last week. Let's talk about the reason I've been knitting monogamously for the past week. Abby and I were lucky enough to respond fast enough to knit a couple samples for Nicole of Hugh Loco for her trunk shows. And I don't have mine because I mailed it off, and I don't have Abby's because she's working on it. So we'll stick a picture in and talk about it a little bit. So she is knitting Nicole's tour hat pattern, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but she is knitting it in the Maeve worsted in 100% superwash merino in whiskey barrel, which I don't know if this was even a thought, but it's just like so on theme. It's knit on size 6 and 8 needles, and Abby said that the yarn was like great, super soft. It was really hard to actually get the color right. I had to wait for a really like sunny moment to get the pictures true to color. She says the pattern is super fun and engaging, but not too hard, and it's turning out great so far. I got to handle it a little bit before I handed it off to Abby to knit it, and kind of wanted to keep it. I don't know. I will, once I can knit my stash down a little bit, I will probably be ordering all the things. And my Hugh Loco trunk show knit is the Hermione's Everyday Socks by Erica Luder. We know them, we love them. I made them. I knit them 2 at a time, cuff down, on size 1 stainless steel that I bought forever ago, and they suck. They really suck. Like, the cable is even less agreeable. So really it works in your favor that I don't remember what it is. I knit it on her Phyllis sock yarn base, which is 80/20 superwash merino nylon in Rowdy Mermaid and Coltrane. And that is, like we talked about earlier, so this is what I knit the body out of, and this is the contrasting cuffs, toes, heels. I have a picture of that too. This is like, as much as I love this, and this is super fun, especially because I am like fairly boring and like kind of set in my colorways. I don't know if I would have ever chosen this like for my wardrobe, and now I want it all. Like, I really want a pair of like shorty socks out of this, and I want everything in this gray. This is just, they're both like, it must be the nylon because the colors are super rich, and like this has a bunch of gray tones in it, and it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, like they both do without being metallic, which is really cool. Maybe it would put it over the edge, but I feel like some really like fine silver stellina in here would be cool. and I loved knitting these. They were my first crack at 2 at a time cuff down. I usually knit them toe up. So that was a little challenging. It took a little longer to kind of shuffle things around and do the math, but they came out great. I'm super happy with them. I hope Nicole is happy with them too. And I put them in the mail yesterday, so she should get them Thursday, which is probably when this podcast goes up. We're going to skip right over the errata section because I think I've kind of interspersed my whining throughout. So let's just hop right into acquisitions. It's funny because out of all of this, I only bought one thing in the last month. One was something I ordered a while ago, one was from the swap I did with Robin, and the third was an impulse purchase at Barnes & Noble. That impulse purchase had been sitting on my Amazon wish list for a while because I am trying to finish up that Design Your Own Cowl Craftsy class. I wanted a stitch dictionary. And I mostly am a sucker for branding and nice, clean photography, and I really wanted this one. A lot of these are tough to get, I've learned, like out of print or way back ordered, but this is the one with all the cables. So I'm very excited to play with this and adapt things to patterns I have in mind. I have slowly been dreaming up a couple different ebooks. I think I've got a name for my knitwear line. Just need to sit down and get the domain name and, start all of that trademarking and that kind of thing. So, but this is it's a nice little step in the right direction. Very excited that I found this. My next acquisition was from Robin of Stitching Between Pages, and we hung out and swapped, and I felt bad because she gave me this super cute little organza bag, and I was like, yo, here you go, here's a Ziploc bag. I was like, ugh. But these are beautiful. I don't remember the stories with all of them, but I'm 99% sure that this is in her Doodler shawl. This is Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which I definitely want to play with. I love this blue. This is super nice. And this is a Christmas colorway. It's got some stellina in it. Big fan. And I don't know. They all have, you know what a mini skein looks like. You know how this goes. But the thing that we talked about was that hers are all like very, like they're rich colors, but they're muted. They're kind of, even the variegated ones aren't super bright, and everything I gave her was practically neon. So it was just funny to see, and kind of woke me up to the fact that I probably need more stuff like this in my blanket. So hanging out with her was really awesome, and these are great, and I am super grateful. So thank you. And we will definitely do wine and knitting and Netflix like we discussed, because that's how I live my life. All right, I am super excited about this last acquisition because I've been waiting on it, and I participated in the 5-gram mini skein swap. It was a collaboration between Melissa of Spicy Homemaker and Amy of Bohemia Fibers, and so she custom dyed skeins based on pictures that we sent her, and then it got broken up into minis, and we've all started receiving them. I just got these today. Super excited. I planned on it already, but now I am for sure ordering a full skein of my custom colorway. It's based on a picture that my sister took. I can't take credit for that at all, of the Chicago skyline from an old parking garage in Lincoln Park. And I am obsessed. Like, the graffiti is so cool. And so I sent that in as my picture, and I may have to get a better picture of this, but Amy made this and I need it. I need a full thing of this. Like, it just picks up the colors of the concrete and the sky so well. I actually opened these on the train and was looking at it and looked out the window at the buildings going by, and I was like, this is super accurate. Like, it just looks like Chicago. It really does. And we even talked about how I wanted to avoid orange because, we need another orange and blue Illini Chicago Bears skein, like I need a hole in the head. And she was like, oh yeah, there are definitely already a lot of sport fan skeins out there. I'll do something else. It's like, cool. So that's mine. And you'd probably recognize like a fair number of names in here. Like this is Paper Dags. I don't think the camera does the focusy thing, but so it's Paper Dags and Andre Sue Knits, and who else is in here? This is Melissa's. I know Brittany is in here. Yeah, here we go. So this was just like super cool and fun to participate in overall, and just the product is unbelievable. I put a picture of this on my Instagram because I was sure that like I wasn't going to be able to do it justice on here, but God, I cannot wait to make all the puffs with this and to order a full skein of the, I'm going to call it the City Is Yours colorway because, you know, obvious, but I'm in love. These are great. Can't hold things. All right, now we're down to blather and finishing. So, like I say every week, the grind is pretty normal. Work, study, apply to law school, in Abby's case, study in med school, knit, repeat. She is in the thick of studying psychiatry, and there's about 1 million different medications and 1 million different side effects, and it kind of sounds like they're going through it faster than anybody can process it, but she's just got to muscle through till spring break and swants. I'm so excited. And I actually got another law school response, and so to be able to be considered for some extra money, which always good, I need to record a few interview question responses, which is interesting because I was sure that I would have to Skype with somebody, but the only downer is you can't edit, and I am just so used to that at this point. You have to like use their website, and you can record an unlimited number of times, but part of me is starting to think that this is just to check to make sure you don't say like and every other word. And what do we do when we're nervous? We all do it. Like, so whatever. So I just got to get that done in the next month and then start making some decisions, which is crazy and super exciting and still super stupid. Did I just invent that? So it's exciting and it's crazy and it's so expensive. So in the past week, Abby and I have been able to, and like have had the awesome opportunity to take a couple of internet relationships like into the real world. So I hung out with Robin like we talked about, and we also, Abby and I, earlier in the week met up with Becky, who is Soprano Knits on Instagram. She doesn't have a podcast, but she is a burgeoning designer and a professional opera singer. So she was super cool to hang out with, on tacos and margaritas, as you do. And I'm still super excited to film together next week. And I have a swap package that's going to go out hopefully Friday or Saturday. And so I will have even more minis next week. I already feel like inundated, like I have more than I know what to do with, but I am excited and grateful, and this has been super fun the whole way. So if you want to get in touch with us, I will put the handles at the end. You can find us at Get Lit and Knit on Instagram and Get Lit and Knit podcast on Ravelry. Come join that group and subscribe to us here and follow us on Instagram, and that will help. It works out well for everybody, and then you're better able to stay on top of the giveaway we're gonna do mid-March, I think. So I will explain that better as we get closer. If you're a returning viewer, thank you. It's been really fun to watch the numbers climb and interact with you guys in the comments. Thanks for checking us out, and hopefully you'll be able to join us again when we film next week. What? So, yeah, thanks again. We'll see you soon. Bye. Gave me a Ellie. Kat does this thing where she likes to knock exactly one piece of food out of the bowl loudly and then eat it also loudly. I'm tolerating this pretty well. What's the catch? So, Ellie scratching. Cease and desist. Oh, not giving you that. You're just gonna bat it around and be annoying. Ah, no! Runaway yarn.